Are we on the air?
You're now in the mix with The Corner Radio, hosted by Kill, banging nothing but classic hip-hop, soul, and R&B.
No doubt, baby, all city true. No doubt, baby, all city crew. Ready to flip shit, coming through with the crew. No doubt, baby, all city crew. Ready to flip shit, coming through with the crew. No doubt, baby, all city crew. Ready to flip shit, coming through with the crew.
What's good? What's good? What's good? You tuned to The Corner Radio, hosted by your man Kill. I got my hip hop squad up here with me tonight. I got my man Vegas. What's going on, Veg?
All right, what up, man? What up?
And everything is good. Everything is good. I got my man DJ Rack one with us. What's good, Rack?
What's good, people? What's good, everybody?
And then I got my brother Jason with me. What's good, Jace?
Yo, what's going on, gentlemen?
No doubt, no doubt. Yo, before we even get started, I want to take this time. I try to do this on Twitter anytime I'm on IG or whatever. I got to shout my man Jace out. This dude has been volunteering with me every Wednesday in the hood with my knucklehead teams out here in Southeast, man. You know what I mean? So I definitely want to salute him for coming out. He's there every Wednesday, dropping knowledge on these kids, taking time afterwards, sit down and talk with them. So just wanted to shout you out, man, and just say, you know, we definitely appreciate you coming out, bro. For real.
That's what's up, man.
Yeah, that's definitely what's up.
Yeah, so, all right, enough sappy stuff. Let's get right into it. Yo, this week's show, we talking about classic albums. What makes something a classic album? The reason we're getting into this is every morning I'll, post what I'm listening to, my little morning commute. And last week I posted Kid and Play's first album, Too Hype. I was like, yo, got a hip hop classic on deck today for my morning commute. And a couple of people got at me like, yeah, that has some joints on it, but it ain't no classic because it was a couple of songs on there I didn't like. And it made me start thinking and, talking with different people. And some people are like, yo, for something to be a hip hop classic, every song has to be dope. I have to like every song. There's no room or space or anything for any type of aight song or no duds. Ev is real big on and can't have no duds on it. So I wanted to chop it up with y'all to talk about, in your eyes, what makes a hip hop classic? Two, how long do we not say something is a classic? Number three, were we using the word classic before the Sources 5 mic scale came out? And then later on, we're going to talk about 5 albums, or as many as cats could come up with, albums that aren't looked at when you're having a conversation with heads that, not the Illmatics, not the Reasonable Doubts, not joints that may just be 5 mic classics to you personally. So Veg, let's get started with you, man. What has to make something a hip hop classic? Does every song have to be great? And before I do that, one of the examples I use is Public Enemy's It Takes a Nation to Hold Us Back. It's actually my favorite hip hop album ever, 5 mic classic, whatever. There's a song on there, if I'm not mistaken, it's called Party to Fight for Your Right.
Yeah.
And that's a dud beyond duds.
All day.
My life, it's the worst.
Yes.
But that doesn't stop It Takes a Nation of being a 5 mic classic. So just wanted to throw that out there. But Veg, what makes something a hip hop classic for you? And then two, how long do you think you have to wait before you can call something a classic?
I think, I definitely don't subscribe to the whole every song got to be crazy. I got to like every record. Of course, you got to like the majority of the album. Again, another example, old example, like EPMD's Unfinished Business. I like every song except for that one It's Time to Party record that out of nowhere.
I knew he was going with that one.
And I was a kid when I heard that, and I was like, what the fuck is this? Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, it's the house record? Like, you know what I'm saying? So I don't agree, that every song has to be crazy. But one thing for sure, I think definitely it depends on the album as far as the time goes. You know what I'm saying? Because there are albums that everybody consider classics that I knew the first time I heard it. Like, yo, this is a classic. It's just banging on every level. You know what I'm saying? But I do feel like when you really know it's a classic is when you could go back to it like a year later or months later when whether you weren't still playing it or not. and listen to it, and all those emotions just come right back to you. You know what I'm saying? It's almost like if you feel like you're listening to it for the first time again, and it's been like 5 years or 10 or 1 or 6 months, then you know it's something special. You know what I'm saying? Because you still have that emotion when you press play. So yeah, I think it just depends on how it connects with you. You know what I'm saying? And what it takes to get you to say like, yo, this is my shit. Because I know there's for example, like I know this ain't really hip hop, but like the album that D'Angelo put out, I listened to that shit all year last year, like literally every day. You know what I'm saying? To the point I had to stop. Like, yo, is this shit really this good, or am I that thirsty? But nah, every time I turn it on, even now, it's like, nah, it is that good. So that's kind of how I feel about, when you're talking about classics and how long and whether you like every song or not.
All right, no doubt. Jace, what you think, man?
I think the impact is what stands out to me. The impact it has on the culture, the timelessness of it. If it has immediate impact, and does it sustain that over time, over extended periods of time, like Vegas was saying. Any classic, anything that I consider a classic, when it first came out, I was on it, and I can still play it to this day. Plain and simple. One of my biggest pet peeves about people saying an album is a classic is, does it get an A? Is 90% of the joint good? Can I listen to everything and maybe skip one, maybe 2 joints? I'll give you 2 joints on an album. If I gotta skip more than 2 joints, it can't be a classic, even if it's a well put together album, in my personal opinion. Because there are a lot of albums out there that do it, even though of late there aren't that many. But when you're talking classics, a sustained classic, you'll be able to listen to 90% of the music, and it rocks, it jams, it pumps. And one of the biggest things for me on a classic album is the song placement, the track listing, and the order. It's got to flow. You got to get my attention up front, and you got to sustain it. You get my attention up front, it's almost like ADD, but I'm not really ADD, y'all. Forgive me. You get me up front. You get me locked in, like the ruler's back on the blueprint, the drums, the flow. It got me locked in right away. And so by the time you get the Mama Loves Me, I'm like, good. But because I don't like Mama Loves Me.
You don't like Mama Loves Me?
Nope.
Me neither.
I like Anthony Hamilton's version of it, but I ain't like the one on Blueprint.
All right. So what about how long it has to take? What do you feel about how long?
I'll tell you what, man. A lot of people when Reasonable Doubt came out, most of the people I knew were really heavy in the Helter Skelter, Boot Camp Click, Woo. They wasn't really checking for Hov. I'm like, yo, this is a classic. Period. A lot of dudes that I was rocking with was like, yo, who is he? Like a lot of dudes where I was at had never heard of him. I'm like, yo, this is dope. From beginning to end, I won't skip a track on Reasonable Doubt. I listen to it straight through. There were a couple of joints on the Helter Skelter joint, and it was dope. But it's like 1 or 2. I don't even remember the names of them. But there were a couple of joints on there that I would skip through, and that was rocking to me too. So it could be instant, like Illmatic right away before the article and the source, just listening to it. I mean, there was a lot of hype around it. But if you just sit with it and really listen to it, the joint is dope from beginning to end.
Yeah.
So I'm not big on time.
All right, no doubt. What about you, right?
Yeah, I gotta agree with Vegas and Jay, man. Time means nothing when it comes to a classic. If you put it on and it's banging to you feeling it, yeah, time means nothing, because all that means is somebody's late getting to it. You can't necessarily wait for somebody to convince you that it's a classic. If it's good to you, it's good, regardless of time. I don't necessarily categorize what's a classic. Like for me, if I'm feeling it and I know it's tight and it sustains time, for me, it's classic for me. Some of my classics that y'all gonna see today is not classics that you would think anybody would have as a classic, but for me, they sustain the test of time. Those are albums that I still go back to this day and will listen to for hours on end. at a time with no issues, you know.
All right, no doubt, no doubt. And
Yo,
for me,
let me
you say that?
just to the Reasonable Doubt joint. I kind of had the opposite effect.
Really?
When I first heard Reasonable Doubt, I hated the beats, like because at the time, you know, most of the beats didn't sound like that. You know what I'm saying? So they was kind of sounding like the beats I was getting. You know, niggas was giving me the rap to. When I was like, wait a minute, they got money. You know what I'm saying? Like I know why I'm getting what I'm getting, but that grew on me. You know what I'm saying? Like the more I listened, the more I understood. You know, I already knew Jay-Z was different from everybody else, but even beat wise, I was like, nah, this dude's in a different category. Like I can't look at him like I look at Nas or Big.
Right.
And so of course his beats would be the way they are. Now I love it. You know what I'm saying? So I definitely agree with what y'all was saying about all that Invisible Doubt.
Yeah, and again, I agree with basically all of y'all. I forgot. I think it was Jason said. To me, 90%. You know, because to me, it's like, yo, it's gonna be hard just for me to like every single song on the album. You know what I mean? Same thing. Same thing everybody else said. You know, to me, something can be a classic as soon as it hits you. You know, to me, music is so much about what speaks to you. You know what I mean? Sometimes it's almost like a pastor sermon. You can go hear something and you see somebody breaking down in tears and you looking like, yo, this is boring as hell. You know what I mean? Like it may just speak to you, and that's why later on when we chop it up about the 5 classics, you know, I just want to know like why it spoke to you like that. But for the people out there who are all like, yo, every song got to be dope, I'm looking at Long Live the King. Now I would say this is a hip hop classic. I could not stand. What's this joint called? The Day You're Mine. That joint was whack. That's done. The Day You're Mine. All the people like, oh, everything gotta be dope. I'm looking at the Beastie Boys' License to Ill. This is a 5 mic classic. Girls, come on, y'all. Stop it. You know what I mean? Like, I could go through every joint that I think most people consider a hip hop classic, and there's at least one dud on there. You know what I'm saying? So I just want to, because a lot of times I think people just be talking and they don't even realize, you know what I mean? Like I don't know last time somebody listened to Beastie Boys' License to Ill. So they may have forgotten that joint was on there or whatever like that. Now tell me this. Before The Source came out with the 5 mic rate, were you, because we're all from different places, Philly, Brooklyn, Jersey, Baltimore, were you calling things hip hop classics? Like I don't remember saying the word classic before The Source. You know, it may have been, yo, this is dope, or this is my shit, or whatever. But, you know, were you saying, like, Veg, were you all saying classic in Brooklyn before The Source popped off?
No, I don't think so. I think because hip hop was still kind of young. You know what I'm saying? So we wasn't really even considering, like, we knew dudes was old school, but nobody was really calling Run DMC old school. Like that, you know what I'm saying? Around that time, like, you know, they were doing songs with P Rock and them. You know, they were older, but it's not like it is now, where you know, like, especially if you watch Vlad TV, you see those interviews with NC. Goddamn, like, you know what I'm saying? Like, wait, that's Shan? Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, I can't even show that to my son. He like, damn, that's your time? Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, nah, that was but you know what I'm saying? I think The Source kind of gave us a reason to debate even more. You know what I'm saying? Because now it's like, and I think it also it's a credit to them because they were kind of on point with some of them, with what they chose. Like, so if you saw something had 5 mics, the majority of the time you picked it up, you was like, yep, it deserves that. You know what I'm saying? So I think the classic came along with like the 5 mics and The Source. That kind of gave it power because we were talking about it, and then the rappers were proud of it. You know what I'm saying? So, but I really don't remember it being that much of a debate over something was a classic. It was just like, you know, yeah, that Slick Rick album is hot. You know what I'm saying? That's it.
Right. All right. What about you, Jason Baltimore?
Nope. Nah. And having traveled, this is no shot, Joe, but sometimes Baltimore's a little slow with certain stuff, picking up on certain stuff. But classic, no. The Source was like barbershop talk for anybody who was really into hip hop who didn't really have hip hop heads around them when I was growing up. I still remember the first Source I ever got had TLC on the cover, which is not hip hop, but that was my introduction to the Source, and I picked it up on a whim. That introduced me to certain criteria on on hip hop. I mean, I'd always consider myself a hip hop head, but I learned a lot through reading it initially and figured out certain stuff on my own as I went. But classic albums, there were dope albums, there were hot albums. This is hot this week. You need to check this joint out. But a classic, something that was sustained forever. Like Vegas said, it was still young. We didn't look at it that way.
Right. That's crazy. That was your first Source, man. I remember where I was at. I was in Plymouth Meeting Mall, right outside Philly, and I copped that Source because I'm like, yo, what the fuck is TLC? It's like, yo, these dudes selling the magazine, selling out now versus the rappers now, the magazine. Man, I remember the Source. My first year, it was still a newsletter when I copped the first joint, man. So that's crazy. What about you, Rap?
Yeah, the Source, man, they did a lot because I know when I was coming up, I wasn't calling anything a classic, man. It just wasn't a term that you used with an album that you liked that much. It just, like you said, it was a dope album. The album's tight. You never thought to coin the album a classic. And maybe like, Vega and Jay said, because hip hop was still young. I don't even think hip hop was 25, 30 years old at the time. So, yeah, I wasn't thinking about calling anything a classic. I just knew it was something I wanted. I was something I wanted to be a part of, and I wasn't thinking about anything that was going to be a classic. The Source TLC on the cover. I still got a couple of my old Sources, man. I got the one with Mike Tyson on the cover. I got another one with Master P on the cover somewhere. Like I still was able to keep a couple of them, but
I still got a couple of joints over here. I got this old school.
Yes, sir.
That's still on this joint.
Yeah, no, I man. Once I left for college, man, my mother went ahead and did her due diligence, but I wasn't as fortunate as you were to keep a Source magazine around.
Nah, that's what's up. And then I think too, a little bit of it to me is that, and of course in Philly we wasn't doing it either. It was just shows the album dope or not. But I think because there were 5 mic albums before. I think Low End got 5 mic. I want to say La Soul Is Dead got 5 mics, but I think it was something about Illmatic. You know what I mean? And a while ago, I did a show on how old you were when Illmatic drops. Tells me a lot about how you see hip hop, And because, you look at age as long as you're in school and really high school. College really after college, it starts to get blurred. So there are times I'm talking with people and I don't even realize this dude is 32, and I'm 42. You know what I mean? So it's kind of like the lines get blurred. So I'm on the show talking about, I was 19 when Illmatic dropped, and my man's like, yo, I was 9. And I'm like, damn. You know what I mean? So I get why you kind of see hip hop differently than me. But I think for those cats who, like, when they saw the Source with 5 mics with Illmatic and every track was dope. And I mean, I didn't love One Time for Your Mind. I mean, it was cool. It wasn't a dud to me. But the funniest thing about Illmatic was I was like the only person, I didn't like Life's a Bitch. You know what I mean? I liked it lyrically, and it's so bugged because Jace and Rex Head just both went the opposite.
Right.
And I wasn't even looking at Jay, but
y'all just the Conehead effect, like both of y'all just. But let me explain why. I love the lyrics, but I kind of just felt like, and this is gonna be a whole nother show. We're gonna get into this, but I felt like the dopest thing about hip hop in '94 to me was hearing people like Pete and Cream cut up breaks and samples that I had never heard before. So when I heard Yearning for Your Love, I kind of felt like, damn, I know that. That's the Gap Band, So I kind of felt like that was and in no way I'm saying it was as badass. And I know some people who like it, like If I Ruled the World, but you couldn't have thrown on anything else on Illmatic and me just be like, oh, that's Smiling Billy Sweet. Oh, yo, that's, that's such and such and such. Oh, yo, they got that from that. So I just that's why I didn't like that one song. Not that it was whack, but that was just my personal thing of like, why they just loop up the Gap Band like that? You know what I mean? So, but I know everybody else in the world, all 3 of y'all loved it. So to me, Illmatic was like, that's what put some people in the mindset, in my opinion, of Five Mic Classic equals every song is dope, you know, and every song is like that. But I want to dig into what is some of y'all joints that probably only you think are Five Mic Classics, don't get brought up a lot, and why'd you pick them? Vegas, what's one of yours, man?
One of mine is Kanye West, Graduation.
Okay.
The reason why I say that album is because I felt like at some point, you know, the new Kanye that we kind of know started to emerge a little bit, you know what I'm saying? And I felt like this album was the best balance between the college dropout, Registration, Kanye, along with it was the perfect balance, you know what I'm saying, and the production. And I just dug it, man. Like it was one of them joints where I was like, I think I like every song. Like, you know what I'm saying? I was almost trying to talk myself out of liking it as much because I'm like, am I the only person, you know what I'm saying, that's feel this shit is crazy. Like, you know what I'm saying? You know that one person's like, I don't hear this shit. But it's like from beginning to end, the way it starts with the Good Morning joint, you know what I'm saying? I think it ends with the song about Jay, my big brother.
Right.
It was just like every song was so well crafted for its purpose and went together well. And like y'all said earlier, you know, was in the perfect order. The guest appearances worked. You know what I'm saying? It was just one of them things where it's like, damn, he's like taking rap to another level with this kind of album. You know what I'm saying? He's not just doing something that we're familiar with. You know, he's taking it sonically to another level as a producer. I know he had ghostwriters, but even, you know, as a performer. So, you know, it's one of those albums I go back to. And again, you know, that the feelings come back. The mode, I'm transformed or transported back to that time when I first heard it. So yeah, Kanye West's Graduation is a classic for me.
All right, that's dope. That's dope. Jace, what you got?
Man, as a kid, I was always big on edutainment. With that said, it's not a KRS joint. It's Ice Cube's Death Certificate.
Okay.
Oh yeah.
I remember partying to this joint as a kid. Some of the shit that he was talking about, I didn't even figure out till like 4 years later. You know what I'm saying? I was still kind of, I think I was 13 or 14. I wasn't dumb, but I wasn't all the way there yet. But like, I was edutained, man. It kept my attention. Some of the skits on it, the Robin Lynch lifestyles of the poor, and the songs, how they went together. The production with Hank Shockley, the Bomb Squad, outside joints, outside sources as well. And back then, he was really heavy on Nation and getting knowledge from all different angles. You know, I thought it was dope, man. It made me, that before the Chronic, gave me an image of what it was like growing up in South Central. And then what they were using, with everything from Zapp, Roger, Parliament, Ozzy Brothers, all the stuff that I used to hear my parents play anyway, they then looped it up and gave it to me in a different light. I thought it was dope. And then him go firing back at NWA.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
Come on, man. Come on.
Right.
I'm done.
All right. What's up with you, Rack? What you got?
All right, so I'm gonna put a disclaimer out, man. None of these albums, I don't think anybody has thought about or of. These albums are specific to me. So I'm starting with The Roots, Philadelphia Half-Life. This album came out my freshman year of college, man, and it was the soundtrack to that drive from Jersey to VA. I got real close with this album, and for me, it was just the fact that they changed tones on it, man. They went from like straight live instrumentation to a nice blend of both. They had cats that was, you know, using the drum programs, they was sampling. They had a lot of, you know, guys on it that was part of the Roots crew that you might not have heard on the technically the second album, but you know, it gave you a different viewpoint into, okay, these guys are more than just a band. These guys can do a lot more than what you truly think. I just dug the fact that it was totally different than the second album, and you know, as I got to become more of a fan, I realized that each album is different. There's no one Roots album that sounds or is about the same thing. So, for me, that was just it's a classic. It's one of those joints I can put on right now and I'm good. I don't have to. It's like Jay and Vegas says, man. You don't have to touch any button. You just turn it on and you good. It'll play from start to finish.
Hey, what's your favorite joint off of that?
I got a couple, man. I wrote them down. You and I verse at war, which took me honestly about 5 years to figure out. Only because I didn't, me and Black Thought, we got a relationship, and at that point in time, I didn't listen to it. And I went back one day and was like, "Yo, this dude's tripping." I didn't really catch what he was talking about. You and I verse at war, Hypnotic, Pick Up Your Lighter. Those are the three that come to mind off the top of the head, really.
Yeah, that's what's up, and that's definitely one of mine. Illadelph, to me, it's funny. The Roots and Tribe to me kind of followed the same lineage, at least for me. I wasn't a huge People's Instinctive fan. I thought it was cool, whatever like that.
I thought that thing was golden grits.
I know I'm not out on a lot of stuff, but People's Instinctives was cool. Same thing with Do You Want More. I really didn't like Do You Want More. There's joints on there. It was too light in the ass for me. All that live jazz.
Yes.
I didn't like the whole We Don't Sample. It's kind of just like, nah, and it's funny because niggas was like, damn, Kill, they from Philly. I'm like, I don't give a fuck where you from. But, it was cool. I love Silent Treatment. There's joints on there, but then when Illadelph came out, it was like when Low End came out. Like when Low End came out, it was like, good. These niggas are dressing normal. I didn't get the whole Left Your Wallet and all of that stuff. Luckily, seeing these dudes are dressing normal. Yeah. They got on hats. They got, that's how I felt about Illadelph. It was like, boom, now we got some beats. When I heard Clones, it was like, this is what I'm talking about. Exactly.
It's solidified what you thought they really were.
Right.
It didn't keep you on the fence.
Yeah, and it's funny because my man came through. He was like, yo, I think you're going to like this new Roots album. He used to run with them. And he was like, yo, Black Thought changing his name to the Bad Lieutenant. You know what I mean? Like they coming hard this time. And just there's nothing on here that I dislike. The Source gave them 4.5 mics, and they should have just went ahead and splurged on that extra half a mic because this joint was definitely classic to me. And my favorite joint on here, and it's crazy because the same thing with Tribe when they first came out. I'm like, yo, what's this nigga Fife here for? You know what I mean? And it was the same thing with Malik B. I'm like, yo, I can say he's superb. I'm like, yo, man,
yeah. I felt the same exact way about Malik B that you do.
But then, just like with Tribe, when Butter came out, it was like, yo, this nigga Fife nice. You know what I mean? And it was the same thing with the joint No Great Pretender. Like No Great Pretender.
He bodied that.
Yeah, that's my favorite joint. So it's just so funny how their lineage, at least for me, works so closely together like that. But yeah, definitely. Illadelph, if cats have never heard this album, please go listen to that album.
Take a long drive and listen to it, man.
Yeah, no doubt.
Kill yourself.
Would you say, girl?
Or kill yourself.
All right, babe, what you got up next, man?
All right, I went with something a little bit more current with this one. A little bit current. Busta Rhymes, The Big Bang. It's what album that's right? The one with the
one with New York shit on it, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, one where he was down with Dre, right?
That was the Aftermath album.
Yeah, Dre did some stuff. will.i.am did some dope shit on there.
That was a dope album.
DJ Scratch did some dope shit on there.
That was a dope
album. It was one of those albums again where, with Busta's albums, he always had some songs that were crazy, and then he had a bunch of whack shit that would be on the same album. So you'd be like, damn, it was almost there, but these 4 joints. But this was one of them shits where, again, it was like you were getting old, rah, rah, rah Busta, and then you were getting a more lyrical Busta all on the same track. His beat selection was crazy. I think he worked with Swiss on some of it too, Swiss Beats. Mm-hmm. So it was kind of like you just getting everything. Like the song he had with him and Q-Tip.
Yeah.
With the passing the torch, that shit was crazy. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? So I played that joint to death. I think I played that for like a year or two straight, just Like, boom, let me just play this Busta shit more than I play any album he's ever had. So yeah, man, Busta Rhymes, Big Bang. I know there's a lot of people like my brother. He's a big Busta Rhymes fan, and he don't even have that album. I'm like, what are you fucking crazy? Like, how you don't have that one, the best one and shit?
That's the one with Rick James on it, right?
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. In the ghetto.
Yeah, exactly. With it, and like even that, like the sample was crazy.
Yeah.
Like, come on, man. So yeah, Busta Rhymes, the Big Bang. That's one of them later classics for me.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, you right on that, man. I gotta pull that thing out. He even had to join with Stevie Wonder on there.
Yep.
Yeah, exactly.
That was crazy, man.
Yeah, that Stevie Wonder joint was crazy. I seen Busta Rhymes featuring Stevie Wonder. I was like, yo, this is gonna be like, damn, Busta came back with Stevie. I think the only joint on there that was kind of suspect was that joint with Khalees. But even on a good day, I could bang that joint.
Really?
Yeah. That's the one. Damn.
That's that's the single. That was the single. That was I Love My Chick. Will I Am produced that.
Exactly.
Nah, man. Anything that dude puts out, I buy, and then I get with it after the fact. I've been a Busta Rhymes fan since Leaders of the New, man. I mean, serious. Like, this dude is the illest ever. You didn't have to tell me nothing, and that's a slept on album, man. 06, people just really didn't put time into that album. I think they had already like wrote him off. Because it took him forever to get the album done. You know how Dre is. Dre is notorious for signing you to the big check and then cutting you, like you're a football player quick after. So, no, that's a good pick, man.
And the crazy thing about that is the beats on there bang. Like,
yes.
Yes. Him, Q-Tip, and Marsha Ambrosius, like that.
Yep.
Bang.
Yeah.
He got the joint with Nas on there. Like, that was a classic album. That was a money album. That's one of the albums you figure if he'd have put it out in 03, it might have did better.
And not to mention, then every city in the world had the New York shit, the Baltimore shit. Everybody had they joint off of that. And Scratch killed that, even though it's just a diamond loop. You know what I mean?
I think he did way better than Diamond.
Jace, what's another one of yours?
NORE, his first solo album.
True.
I had that joint. I had that joint officially 3 weeks before it came out. I remember riding through Drew Hill, banging this shit. I mean, banging this shit in the summertime, and everybody's looking like, what the? I was in my father's LeSabre, Buick LeSabre. I'm blowing the tweeters in the that joint, when it first comes on with Nature, the very first song after the intro, and everybody just looking like, yeah, y'all niggas don't know. That album from beginning to end, the joint Body in the Trunk with him and Nas, the joint with him and Busta, bangs.
Yeah.
Solid album, yo. Great showing from a man. Because I remember shortly after Pone got locked, I was like, yo, what's going to happen? I remember he had a joint with what was the dude's name that jerked him on his publishing on the joint?
Jerk Nori?
Yeah.
That was their lawyer, man.
No, not that. Nah, Gaddafi.
Yeah. Gaddafi still running from.
I remember
he's still running from Irv Gotti and them. They still trying to whip his ass.
I remember he had a book with Gaddafi shortly after Capone got knocked, and I was like, yo, what is he going to do? And then that joint drops, and I was sold.
Yeah, the funny thing with that album, man, is that album had to grow on me, man, because I think it was such a time change in hip hop for me. Being 42, it was kind of like, I remember Super Thug. That was like first Pharrell's beat. So when I heard Super Thug at first, I was like, oh, what? Like, where's the boom bap? Even when I heard NORE, I was like, I wasn't really ready for that Swiss sound, but I mean, it definitely grew on me. You know what I mean? But I just remember at that time, I had went to New York for something, and I was in some spot, and they put on Super Thug, and just seeing the way the crowd reacted to it just really made me like that song. And that's what sometimes you got to be in the club to hear something. Yeah, you see the visualization that comes with it, But
I would almost say that album was the beginning of the transformation from boom bap to like big sound, big loud sound with keyboards.
Yeah. Yeah, especially I mean that was Pharrell's first big joint right there. So
Yeah.
that's a dope pick, man. What's your favorite? What's your favorite joint off of that?
Body in the Trunk for me.
Okay,
Mm-hmm.
all right,
Piano on it, just that simple piano loop, but the lyrics, that was dope for me.
all right, no doubt. What you got next, Rhett?
Good pick, by the way, Jace. And it's funny you say that because my next pick is
Mm-hmm.
Capone and Noriega, War Report.
Yeah.
Heads like us, yeah, we knew what it was, but the average rap fan to call it a classic, they probably never heard the album in their life. You figure that album had about 18, 19 tracks. It was solid from left to right. It was cohesive. Even though some of the skits didn't need to be there, like, you know, with Capone locked up, we didn't need to hear 3 minutes of Capone talking, you know, on the phone.
Yeah.
And being locked up. But from a standpoint of just getting something different from Queensbridge, that was perfect. Because it wasn't Nas, it wasn't Mobb Deep. I felt as though it was the truest representation of Left Rack City and Queensbridge that we were gonna get. Because you look at Mobb Deep, right? Prodigy's not from Queensbridge, and Nas, you know, he'll tell you most of my stories was from out my window. But you talking about two dudes that stayed on the corner, and whatever they wrote about, I'm pretty sure they did. So the lyrics, you could find some sort of credibility in it. Now Nori, it took me a minute to grow on Nori because he lost me because he wasn't speaking English. So I had to just go with it. And then once I went with it and said, okay, this dude is he got his own vibe, he got his own flow, I fell in love with them cats, man. It's just a classic album to me, man. It's just classic. You look at the production, Nasheem Myrick, Clark Kent, Buck Wild, Lord Finesse, Marley Marl. I mean, these cats were straight out of jail, and they had an all-star group of cats producing an album for them. So it just was one of those albums that when it came out, I was probably one of the only ones in my crew like banging this joint, looking at everybody else like, y'all are crazy. You don't know what you're talking about. You go over there with the shiny suit man, and I'm gonna stay right here. So that's my pick, right, for War Report, man.
All right, and the crazy thing about that, like you said, coming out of jail and them having that production lineup, it was just something like just being from Queensbridge at that time got you. You know what I mean? If you said Queensbridge, you had the best producers throwing tracks at you. It's almost like Kentucky. Like when Brandon Knight came out of Kentucky, I was like, this nigga ain't nice. But
I still feel that way.
But it was like, yo, he Kentucky, John Wall, Tyreek Evans, we got to take him. You know what I mean? And it's like same thing with Queensbridge. But
he was guilty. They were guilty by association.
Yeah. So, but the next joint I got that I've never heard anybody in their life say this is a hip hop classic. This is only personal to me. Common's One Day It'll All Make Sense.
Wow.
That's a good album. That's a good album.
I would say that's a classic.
Oh, okay. See, I'm shocked. I'm shocked. Every time I bring up this album, people are like, it was alright. You know, it was cool, but but this joint came out in '97. I had just graduated from Morgan, just moved to Atlanta, just moved in with my girl, just going through a lot of times, and like Commons to me, his honesty on here, like Retrospect for Life. Like I remember hearing that and just being like, wow, like this dude is, you know, talking about abortion, you know, and just the things that he was saying. Stolen Moments, part 1, 2, and 3.
Yeah, that's the dopest trilogy ever.
You know what I mean? And the way he put it together, and even put one too many in the middle, so you didn't get to the final joint. You know, I mean, you had the joint on here with Cannabis when Cannabis was Cannabis, and you know, reminded me of Self. Hungry was hard, just Common going in. But tell me this, I'm glad so many other people like this joint. So who fucking robbed Comm's house?
Oh, it was the dude that was sitting next to him. It was his homeboy.
The dude who picked him up from the airport.
Yeah, it was his homeboy.
Yeah.
Okay.
Go back and listen to it again.
The dude who popped the tape in the deck. And
that was his homeboy. He was riding with his homeboy.
All right, see, this has been a hip hop mystery for me for 20 years, from 1997. Like,
that's what sold me. That's what sold me on that album. That and the part with Tip. When I heard that dun dun dun, when it dropped, I stopped. I don't even remember what I was doing, and I was like, "Yo, what the hell is this?" And I went back and started listening to the album because I was just playing it. But that Stolen Moments, man, that's the greatest shit ever.
And then, you know, I just loved at that time, just calm to me being calm. Even reminded me of Seth was dope. You know what I mean? Just reminiscing. Me and my lady rock the same outfits. My dudes be fucking bros that she hang out with. You know, around that time, guy came out with a piece of my love, arguing if he said dumb bitch. Like, you know what I mean? Like, it was just like fun hip hop to me. You know what I mean? But it's good to see more people like this album because I swear.
I love that album.
That's my favorite comment.
Whoever said that to me? Would you say, Vag?
I said that's my favorite Common album.
Oh, okay, that's dope. That's dope.
Yeah.
That's
I
dope.
think that's in my top 3 Common. I think my first one is Like Water for Chocolate. The second one is Resurrection, and then that's probably my third.
Yeah,
that's probably my third.
Yeah. All right, that's dope. Vag, what you got up next, man?
All right, up next I got now my favorite album from Eminem is the Marshall Mathers LP.
Okay.
But an album that I feel like is classic for me is his debut, the Slim Shady LP. And originally, you know, I had heard of Eminem and all of that prior to, you know, him signing with Dr. Dre and all of that and blowing up. But I was like most people, even some people today who couldn't get into him, like, I don't know about all that quirky rhyming shit. You know what I'm saying? Buffoon type shit. But, you know, when I used to come up from home from Morgan, you know, I used to stop in Penn Station. Well, that's where I catch the bus and shit. And why? But, you know, they had like a little record store. So I would buy like a CD or whatever. And I would say to myself, and this is how I discovered that Common joint one day, it don't make sense. But I would say to myself, all right, I'm going to get some shit that I don't set out to buy. I'm not anticipating it. You know what I'm saying? There's no expectations. I'm going to just put it in and I'm going to just ride to school with it. So I saw Eminem had the album. So I was like, well, yeah, fuck it. I said I was going to do that. Let me get it. And it was one of the greatest listening experiences I ever had because it was just so different from the hip hop I was accustomed to listening to. You know what I'm saying? A lot of times, you know, especially as much hip hop as I listened to and did, especially at the time as an MC and a DJ, I was used to listening for certain things. You know what I'm saying? Like, can he spit? You know, he rapping his block. He got a dead homie. This person's on production. You know what I'm saying? All the typical shit we used to hearing. This dude talking about popping pills, getting Becky drunk at a college party, killing his fucking baby moms with his daughter around. I'm like, this shit is excellent, you know? Because it was entertaining, you know what I'm saying? Because I say this a lot on my podcast, because I feel like sometimes, and you know, I could be that way too. Sometimes we could get in our hip hop bag and be like, nah, where them bars at, nigga? You don't want to hear that all the time. We forget about how entertaining Slick Rick was. With you know what I'm saying? With like the Davy Crockett joint.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like, just being funny. And that's what I felt like Eminem was accomplishing, but he was coming from another world. And I always dislike, you know, Caucasian rappers that reminded me of brothers. You know what I'm saying? Like, you know, I got a deep voice and, you know what I'm saying, I'm rhyming the way they accustomed to seeing. I got the vernacular, I got a chain. This dude was just a white boy, you know what I'm saying?
I got a chain.
He's talking about mushrooms and shit and how it made him feel and, you know what I'm saying? And I'm just like, yeah, man, this is what hip hop is about. It's okay to be fun. And, you know, he has some lyrical shit on there also. But yeah, man, and that's literally one of them albums where, you know, I'll say it like, the first album was hot too, and niggas be like, what? Like, Eminem show, nigga, what are you talking about? Because nobody liked that one, you know what I'm saying? But I thought it was fun. Even the joint with Dre, like, you know what I'm saying? How he would go back and forth rhyming with Dre, but he's like poking fun at this nigga history. I think he even made a D Barnes joke.
He did. He said, Mr. NWA, something coming out of Compton with the AK. Like he spazzed. He basically spazzed on him.
Exactly, and you know what I'm saying. And I enjoyed the fact that Dre was with it. You know what I'm saying? Like it wasn't let me, you know, he's fucking with my legacy shit. He was down with what Slim Shady was doing. So Marshall Mathers. Slim Shady LP Eminem. That's
you know what, man? You just sold me. I've never listened to that album a day in my life, man.
Me
word?
Never
Me
want-
either.
never
Me either.
want-
Wow.
Me either.
But you just sold me, man. I'm gonna download that tonight and listen to it tonight, man.
I have it and have never listened to it.
Shit, like what you got to do, shed all of the
Yes.
preconceived hip hop,
Yes.
tropes, and just listen to what he's saying, and you'll be like, yo, this shit is just fun.
Yes.
You know what I'm saying? It's crazy. So
I'm gonna do that.
All right, yeah, no doubt. Jace, what you got up next?
Oh, late 90s, early 2Gs, Beanie Siegel's debut, The Truth. There's only one joint on there that I don't like, and that is
with Jay-Z's anything that he
Bad boy there.
yeah, fucking bastard put his song on that nigga album. What kind of shit is
But you
that?
know the wild part,
He good for that.
they was always doing that to try to help sell records for his artists.
Yeah.
That was-
Yeah.
That shit was a distraction.
Put that Dead Summer on that Bleak shit.
Right. Y'all want that? Y'all gotta buy Bleak. Y'all want this? You gotta buy Big.
Yeah.
Yo, but the production, and here's the crazy part to me: the production was okay on it. It wasn't anything great, but Beans was spitting on that first joint.
Yeah.
My favorite joint on there is "What's Your Life Like" at the end. Beans remind me of an uncle. Everybody got that one uncle in their family, yo, and y'all know what I'm talking about already. But this album it did it for me. The time that it came out, where I was at in life, and the fact that he was spitting, I thought it was a classic.
Yo, my favorite line on there is from The Truth, where he be like, I come home, my girl fussing and bitching, talking about why don't you change your life? She's like, motherfucker, why do I change my life? Like, ignorant. And then he comes back with ignorant bastard. Like, yo, because you thinking in your mind, yo, that's some ignorant shit to say. And then he come right back at you, like, before you even say, damn, that nigga crazy. Like, yeah, ignorant bastard. That nigga said, motherfucker, why do I change my life? I said, man, this nigga don't give a fuck, man. It's so yeah. I feel you on that. What you got up next, right?
All right, so I'm going mid 90s with this one, man. January 95, man, junior year of high school. Smith and Wesson, The Shining. I don't think this album gets looked at as a classic. I think it gets overlooked just because of the impact that Black Moon had on hip hop at that time. That album, to me, is probably the most cohesive album front to back I've ever heard. It's up there with from a cohesive standpoint, I would say this New Tribe album. I think that album was put together very well. But I think this is one of the first albums to where I realized that was important. Because for me, that was important for this album. Like everything, it was like a clean room. Everything had its place and it was in its place. It was the first time we actually heard the Boot Camp click all together. It was cats on that joint you didn't even know was even there. You never heard Helter Skelter. You never heard OGC until that album. For me, the jazz influence was heavy because, my grandfather was a huge jazz head. So it gave me something that I could actually identify with. And then for me, like I still am. I'm a huge Evil D fan, and that album solidified for me that the Beatminerz was real. Because you had that first album, and it could be a fluke. It could just be luck, but The Shining, if you go back and you listen to it, I can say this pretty confidently. There's not one whack track on there from a production standpoint. Everything was made with an intent and a purpose, and I think they did a very good job of making that happen. It's just sad that we didn't get more albums like that from them. I thought they had the potential to do so, but it just didn't happen. But The Shining, for me, man, that winter was cold too. So you needed something. I don't got no car. You walking. You need something to keep you warm, at least mentally. That was it for me, man. That was it. So that's my album, man. The Shining.
Yeah, to be honest, I would have put that on there, but enough people around me think it's a classic.
No, I got guys look at me like I'm stupid. Like for real, like The Shining. What? Hell nah. what I'll do is I'll go and I'll burn them a copy, and I'm like, yo, seriously, take a good listen to it and get back to me. And they'll listen to it. Some of them won't. So it just within like, you know, the cats that I grew up with, they was more into like, you know, the Redman, and I'm in the Redman heavy, but Redman is Redman. You can't. It's nothing that Redman can do whack in my eyes. Like Redman will never be whack to me ever. So I can't put him in a category where I have to grade him because I'm biased. But nobody took the time to listen to that album. I probably was the only one to sit down and really listen to that album front to back and be like, okay, yeah, this is something. You know, I still get looked at like I'm crazy for that album.
That joint to me is top 10 probably of all time for me. You know, it's a little.
You're the first person that I've ever heard say that.
It's a joint they had out, the 45 of Home Sweet Home with the original joint before they put I and everything else in it.
Yeah.
But, yeah. That's Smith and Wesson. I'll never forget. The Source gave that a 3.5, and that was like the first time.
I didn't even know what they had given it.
I remember that.
They gave it a 3.5, and this is specifically when I started paying attention to who wrote what. You know, because for a while I would just read the source and it would just be the source. But after that, 3.5 Mike Rayton, I was like, yo, these niggas are bugging.
Yeah.
And I like look at the name, like who wrote that? I ain't listening to shit that nigga. Because he don't know what the fuck he talking about. And that's when I started being like paying attention to who wrote what articles in the source and stuff like that. Based off of that. Here's another joint that a lot of people I know have never even heard. I think it's a 5 Mike classic. DJ Jazzy Jeff.
Oh yeah.
Magnificent. I'm shocked again. I'm not used to this class.
What?
I've never heard it, to be honest.
Yeah.
Dope album.
Joint right here.
Vegas, before we get off, I'm getting your email address. I'm gonna email you that shit tonight.
Yeah. This
Like
what'd you say?
506? 0506?
05. No, 04.
04? Okay. Yeah. What? Veg, I'm getting your email address. You'll have that shit tonight.
Yeah. This joint is dope. This is the first time I heard of Kev Brown, the producer. Kev did a lot of stuff on there. Just from as soon as I put it on with the intro, Shake It Off, For the Love of the Game, the cats he got on here, he got J Live on here. This album is the first time I heard Raheem Devon. My People's on here. He got this joint with my man Last Emperor out of Philly called Mystery Man. That's crazy.
You got Boogie Black on there.
Yeah, they got Joe Scott on here. They redid the joint We Live in Brooklyn, the We Live in Philly with Jill doing poetry. Yeah, this whole joint was crazy to me. There's actually a joint on here called How I Do, which is my favorite song.
Okay.
With Sean Stockton from Boys to Men on.
That's Sean Stockton?
Sean Stock, that's him singing the chorus for that joint. That's How I Do. Wow. Boys to Men. And I know that sounds crazy. It's crazy as Busta and Stevie Wonder doing it. But trust me, this joint.
That's a.
And then I think for me too, it was just hearing Kev Brown's production for the first time. You know what I mean? Real soulful, heavy bass lines, very Dilla-ish, you know. And then just the MCs he had on here. It's really a bunch of nobodies, man. Yep. You know, for the most part, it's just a bunch of just dope hip hop, man. So this is just a real, like I said, slept on album right here for me. And then too, I love liner notes where like he talks about how songs were made and stuff like that. Like I love going into detail like that. So just a dope album. What's your number 4 joint, man?
Number 4, I have Little Brother, The Minstrel Show.
Okay.
I think for me, when the whole like Little Brother thing started to take shape, like with their first album, I wasn't doing strictly hip hop anymore. I was working at EAA, but I was kind of like advising Ak and Scooby, and you know, there was certain shit they were big on. They were playing Little Brother heavy, and Ak kept trying to. First of all, shout out to the homie Ak, but he was trying to, you know, get me to listen to it, and I listened, and I'm like niggas are rapping. What the fuck you want? Like, you know, like what? I don't see the big deal. I was on my snob shit. Like what? Like, okay, like what the fuck is the big deal? You know what I'm saying?
What?
And they kept trying to get me to listen to it. But it wasn't until the Minstrel Show came out, and that's when I was like, well, let me see, because the cover had me. I'm like, damn, they put out an album called The Minstrel Show, and they got this cover with this cool look shit. I was like, let me listen to this shit, and yo, I became a huge fan off the rip, straight off of that album. Just because, you know, again, this was a situation where not only were dudes nice, but they had a concept of an album that they followed through on the whole album with skits and everything that hadn't been done in hip hop. You know what I'm saying? And
I am the conscious.
Yeah, it was like it was doing a number of things. You know what I'm saying? It was conceptual. It was you know what I'm saying, it had the, you know, dope beats, dope rhymes. What more do y'all want? You know what I'm saying? They got banned from BET because, you know what I'm saying, niggas was like this. They don't want none of that educational rap on their station and shit. So it was one of those albums like we need today and shit that was just perfect for the timing. You know what I'm saying? It was just perfect for that time because, you know, shit, we complain about the mumble rap now. Remember when we was complaining about the ringtone rappers when they was taking over the radio? You know what I'm saying? But Little Brother was kind of like that lane that, you know, we needed, that lane that Kanye kind of took over and shit like that, which he actually said. And they felt like, yo, this is like a Tribe Called Quest coming back in a different form. You know what I'm saying? Because we didn't have the album we have now. But yeah, like I love that record. You know, I Say It Again. I could play that song over and over. It just was a dope album from a group that was at least new to me. That impressed me. You know what I'm saying? Because again, you know, I wouldn't listen to anybody when they was like, listen to the listening. Like, I was like, yo, listen to this. And I was on my, you know, I had a couple years in the game. You know, I rap and fucking, I've been listening to hip hop for a long time. So I'm looking like, nigga, I need to be impressed. But the Minstrel Show did that. Like,
you know what, Veg? You may be selling me on your second album. You may need to do sales. You may need to do sales or something, man. 'Cause I've never listened to the Minstrel Show.
Are you serious?
Kill, I've been trying to get you to listen to that for a minute.
Yo, Kill, I'm emailing you that tonight.
Just slow down. Let's slow down. I just graduated high school. I just got my GED. Let me live this little shady for a minute. See, my thing with the listening was, it was so hyped up to me. Like, everybody was like, oh my God, you gotta hear this. Yo, Pete Rock invited them to the basement and da-da-da-da. And then I heard it, I was like, it's cool, but what the fuck? Like, y'all acting like y'all just heard, you know, y'all found the Ark of the Covenant or something. Like, yo, it's cool, but it ain't that damn dope. Like, I was like, yo, these dudes got invited to the basement. Really? These are the dudes that got invited to the basement. And then it was nice because I was like, yo, what's up with dudes' beats? And then my man said he'd make them on a computer. And keep in mind, this is 2000. Yeah. Nobody was making beats on a computer. So it just wasn't impressive to me. And I just never went back to check for them. Keep in mind, I love Fonte. Always loved Fonte. Was like, yo, he's dope. I was like, Pooh, he aight. You know, and the whole, this is the new Tribe Called Quest. I was like, I had Tribe Called Quest. You know, it's almost like, hey, yo, this is the new Martin. Nah, I got that. I'm good. If I want Martin, I'll just go watch old Marty Moore. I don't need the new. I hate when people, this is the new whoever, like, you know. So, but no knock on that. But Beg, I may have to check that joint out. My people will call me like, yo, you want to go to Little Brother show? Fuck no, nope. I am good. Jace, what's another joint you got, babe? What's your number 4?
Wow.
1990 EPMD Business as Usual.
Which joint was that? I get confused with the businesses.
Rampage.
Yeah, that's Rampage.
Okay.
Rampage, Gold Digger, Manslaughter, Brothers on My Jock Rappers Out of Control. For sure, dude.
Yeah.
Dope album, Scratch, Funky Piano.
Yeah.
My favorite joint on there is Rap Out of Control. Rap is Out of Control.
That took a while for it to grow on me, but then I loved it. Like when I first heard it, I'm like, yo, why the beat? What? Yeah, I didn't get it, but then like it definitely grew on me. Man. Definitely a dope album, man. Scratch on just the scratches especially for Gold Digger at the end. Like,
Rampage. Slow down, baby.
Oh,
James Brown.
Yeah, scratch there, yeah. I definitely feel you on that. Breck, what's your number 4?
I'm still thinking about Jay, man. That Brothers on My Jock, Redman, with when he started his rap with a certain word and just kept going. Oh. Okay, my bad.
Hold on, and since we still there, I'm mad. Like I think, I think they are the perfect people of setting off albums. Like, an EPMD album always cuts off whether it's the Strictly Business, So What You're Saying, I'm Mad. What's the next one? From the Boondocks, like this. How you press play on an EPMD album, you know from the door, it's 0 to 60. Like I'm Mad was crazy, man.
Maintain your focus when you hit that play button.
I mean, But my bad, bro. What was you saying?
It's all good. It's EPMD. That's a given. All right, so this album, it's a weird one, man. I don't know if too many cats was up on these dudes or took the time to listen to them. The Beatnuts, Intoxicated Demons, the EP is the EP that they came out with. A lot of people didn't know they had an EP. I remember being on Jamaica Avenue one day and they had this joint blasting out the speakers, and I'm like, yo, what is this? So I went, bought the tape, bought the bootleg. It's back when the bootlegs was on the corner, the little African cats, and used to see the cats get run up on and get their ass beat for bootlegging tapes. But we don't do that no more. But man, the Beatnuts, that was my introduction to those cats, and I've been a fan ever since. It was only probably about 8 songs deep, but it was new. It was the same as far as they were using jazz samples and they were using breaks, but they were coming from a whole nother angle with these jazz samples and these breaks. The lyrics wasn't all the greatest. They really wasn't talking about nothing but, fucking and all kind of craziness. But I just felt as though it was a good EP to introduce a group to. They fell off, as most artists do, but it wasn't a bad EP, man. It's something that takes me back to that point in time, man. It's early 90s, and it's just something that I can continue to play for me from front to back, and I don't have any issues with. They had Rain of the Tech, No Equal, a couple other joints on there, but it was just a good EP for me, man. Good EP.
Rain of the Tech, man. When I popped the trunk, hit the deck.
Yeah, hit the deck. Catch rain. It was just crazy, man. It was just one of those joints because people to this day, like I play it on the podcast and people ask me, yo, what is that? They've never heard it. And I'm like, you don't know about the Beatnuts? And they're like, nah, who are the Beatnuts? And then if I bring up maybe the joint that they did with Greg Nice, they may know. If I bring up a joint they did with Pun, they'll know. But but people don't know that the Beatnuts had their own, style and their own group of albums. They had like 5 or 6 albums. They was on Loud relatively, like they had a following, but just that first EP, those first 11 joints, that was it for me. I was like, whoa, these cats are all right.
The funny thing about the Nuts was like, damn, they part of the Native Tongues. Like they wild cousins or something of the Native.
Oh man, they were definitely some wild cousins.
Like your moms don't want you to hang out with.
Yes.
Native tongues.
Yes.
Beads and there wasn't no beads.
No, it was some beads, but it wasn't the ones going around your neck.
My next joint out, Done by the Forces of Nature, the Jungle Brothers' second album. A lot of folks, I know a lot of folks said they've never heard this album, which is crazy to me. I mean, everything on here: Feeling Alright, Sunshine, What You Waiting For, You Make Me Sweat, Belly Dancing Dina, Done by the Forces of Nature, Beads on a String, Tribe Vibes. I mean, man, this joint was just crazy.
You can tell that shit is old by the titles you just read. I was like, what the fuck? I gotta go back and listen. What the hell is that album about?
Oh yeah, man, this was my joy, and this was special to me because at the time I was working in Cheltenham Mall, the Hood Mall, around the way from my crib, and my man Marv would just play this joint every single day we be at work. So it just reminds me of just dope times, first job working at Foot Locker, just, back in those days, I had aliases. I was talking to so many joints. I had different names back in the days. Like my one name was Akil, one name was Kill. Like I had all kinds of different names. So just in case somebody was like, yo, I mess with Akil. Oh, okay. Yeah, my man working for Locker too, but his name Rahman. Like I had it all over. Yeah, this brings back those good Foot Locker memories. Veg, take us home with your fifth joint, man.
I'm going to sell you on another one.
Yo, if you go 3 for 3, B, we gotta get you gotta do something, man. You gotta be working for a label in the promo department or something.
And I brought this up before too. And again, this was a time when Strictly Hip Hop was like, yo, I'm telling you, listen to this shit and blah blah blah. And I'm like, I'm not listening to no Sticky Fingers album. Why would I do that? Like Onyx has had their time. A Sticky Finger album is way too late. Why would I want to listen to that? Look at the cover. You know what I'm saying?
That's the joke when he's like running down a back alley or something.
Like he's jumping over a cop car, but it's not even something that looks real. It looks staged. You know what I'm saying? But I am not going to front. To this day, I'm the biggest advocate for that album because conceptually, when you talk about somebody having a concept and seeing that shit through from beginning to end, even to the point where the guest features play a role in the script, the movie, you know what I'm saying, the concept. So like if he's in jail, I mean not in jail, but he's in court, the judge is like Little Kim or some shit. And, his lawyer is Redman or some shit like that. That's some other shit.
What's the name of this album, bro? What's the name of this one?
Oh, my bad. It's called Black Trash. Black Trash, the autobiography of Kurt Jones.
Yeah.
The name of the album is called Black Trash.
Yeah.
I'm telling you, yo, Kill, I'm telling you, man.
It's not a bad album, man.
I was saying the same shit. I was like, yo, I'm not listening to this shit. Like, I got better things I could do with my life than listen to an album called Black Trash.
Yep.
With Nicki with fake braids in. On the
cover.
You know what I'm saying? And yo, it's to me, it's the best concept album I ever heard because every skit has a purpose, you know what I'm saying? And every skit leads into a song, and it's not like, it's a skit about, him getting out of jail, and then the song is loosely based on what happened afterwards. No, the song is about, him getting out of jail, how he feels, but it's not necessarily like a narration of it. It's a song that sounds like it could be a radio record. You know what I'm saying? And then this record is about something else, and then there's a skit to follow that. I will say, like how we said, not every album has songs that are skippable. Somewhere later, it starts this a little fatigue, where he should have probably got rid of a song or two. But it's literally a story being told from the first skit through every song, through every skit to the last one. And I just thought that was tremendous, for that dude to be able to pull that off and keep you interested, you know what I'm saying? And it totally was what I wasn't expecting when I heard it.
All right, you know what? I'm going to start with that because giving me tonight, that's got to be the wildest sounding one. Like, I could believe
it is.
The first album is dope. I could believe the Little Brother's second album is dope. Black Trash with Sticky Fingers with fake braids, I'm going to go in with that one. I'm going to start with that. I'm gonna start with that, man. And if this is dope, Veg, you got to get out of radio and find another career, man. I remember the album cover just being like, yo, come on, bro. Like, yo, go back to acting or whatever, But do something. But
But though, now that I think about it, because I don't remember when it came out. I think I might have still been on Strictly Hip Hop.
All right.
Maybe before the album came out, but we were playing singles. So, it was just songs out of context that I'm like, yeah, this shit is cool, Sticky single, whatever. And this shit is cool, but I had never heard it in the context of the album, and I didn't know it was a part of a story. So then when I heard those single records in the album, I was like, oh shit. You know what I'm saying? That's like hearing a party record and you're like, yeah, this shit's cool. And then you hear it and like, oh, that goes with this and goes with that. Oh, okay. You know what I'm saying? So it's good for that reason.
All right, I'm gonna check it out tonight. I'm gonna check it. Jace, what you got for your last joint?
I'm gonna take it back to '97. OC's Jewels.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah.
I think that album was highly slept on by a lot of people because of everything else that was going on around him. The whole DITC, the joint that he had on there with two joints he had on there with Big L. Dangerous and Dangerous, the sequel with the Lost Boys, fire. The joint he had, Hypocrite, it's got the same sample that Black Rob used on My Life Story.
Yeah.
I thought that was dope. That's my number 5, OC's Jewels.
I ain't mad at that, man. I know a lot of people didn't like it because they felt it was a letdown from the first album. But I thought this was crazy. My World with Primo, War Games with Organized.
War Games is wild.
Win the G with Bumpy Knuckles. Strong J, Mug with Freddie Fox, The Crow, Hypocrite. Yeah. It's Cast Don't Know.
Yeah.
Joint. What you got for your last joint, Rat?
All right, I put my disclaimer out early. I'm just telling y'all because this one I don't think nobody will pick. Tikal 2000, Method Man's second album.
Yep, you are correct on that. I don't think. It's like a Family Feud. Good answer.
Nah, man, it just it was one of them albums that probably only spoke to me, man. For me it was a dope album. It was a bit long, but for me it was tight, man. He spent Def Jam's money right on that album. He had a couple joints on there that was tight. The D'Angelo joint was tight. He had a couple joints with Red. He had a joint with Left Eye on there that shocked me, and she was spitting. That was the first time I ever heard her rap say something for real, as opposed to just being on the TLC joint. So I think for me, it was the shock value of the album that I didn't really expect to really like the album, but I ended up loving it. And it was one of those albums that I played and still do play sometimes throughout the whole year. So that's why I picked that one, because it was just one of those albums that I'll be sitting there looking at like, oh, that was my joint. I played that album probably for a good 6 months. It stayed in my rotation, along with some other joints, but that was the one that I would look at and be like, yo, why in the fuck is this album still sitting here? But it made it through the test of time, along with the other ones. The other ones would be gone, and Tikal 2 would still be sitting there. So that's why I chose it, man. It just was one of those albums at a time in college that it just stayed with me, as opposed to the other albums that didn't. So that's why I picked it.
All right, that's what's up. I like the joint you had with D'Angelo.
Yeah, that was tight.
That was tight.
He had a couple joints with Street Life. I thought Street Life was tight. I just felt as though he needed to distance himself from Method Man. He never was able to have his own little small career outside of just being with Method Man. I thought he had a shot, but he just I don't know. It's like if Method Man wasn't doing it, he wasn't doing it, and I think that hurt his whole career. So it just was a bad situation.
All right, my last joint I got up from the planet of Brooklyn. My man Pastor
Ooh.
Take a look around.
Ooh.
The thing about this, I know people who have never heard this album.
Wow.
Which is crazy to me because it came out in 90. So you're talking about 89 is when this was getting made. Marley produced the whole album. So you're getting 89 Marley. Again, during this time, I was a knucklehead. I was beefing with moms. I moved out with her, moved in with my grandmother, was running the streets this summer. And that summer, I think it was the summer 90. And this album was just like my soundtrack. Like Me and the Biz, Letter to the Better, Can't Stop the Bum Rush, Brooklyn Battles, Maybe Next Time, Posting Highs. There's literally, I love this album. He's got a joint on here over the symphony beat called 4 - 3, where it's just him ripping it.
I remember that joint.
Yeah. So again, like you were just saying, Rack, I don't expect anybody else to find my classic. They could be like, it's a good album, but like I said, said, that was just my personal soundtrack to that shit. Say I Don't Run Away and I Stay With My Mom's, probably would have been a good album, you know, but for what I was going through. All right, y'all, we always got some extra joints. Veg, did you have any extra joints?
Yeah, I had one that was more recent because I was trying to, you know, think of like what's something that's more recent that I could call a classic that, you know, maybe because it was recent, but like Run the Jewels first album, I never really was like a Killer Mike fan or LP fan. But when I heard that album for the first time, I was like, where the fuck did this come from? You know what I'm saying? Because, you know, I knew that it's like their track record didn't match them coming together as a group. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? Because they just had totally different sounds. You know what I'm saying? And I said this on my podcast also, like, that was around the time that Jay-Z's Magna Carta came out. And I always try to see what kind of sound Jay-Z's going for when he comes out with these later albums. And it sounded like he was trying to go for that more electric, I forget what you call it, beady something, you know, sound or whatever. But LP, the way he captured that shit on the Run the Jewels and Killer Mike's militant, conscious, gangster-like flow, and the way he attacked the beats is just, it's like a perfect combination, you know what I'm saying? Where, you know, and I was lifting a lot of weights then too, so that was like charging me up, like, oh shit, this shit crazy, you know what I'm saying?
All right, Beg. You know, Beg, I'm done with you, man, because I'm listening to this shit. I ain't never heard Run the Jewels.
You ain't never heard Run the Jewels?
Yo, let me ask you a question. You remember in Raw when Eddie was talking to his dad, and he was like, "Yo, why you hanging out with Danny Terrio?" Killer Mike, like you said, these are people that together. So it's like, why are you hanging out with Danny Terrio? Like, why are you Killer Mike, who, like, I've never been a huge fan of, even with Outkast. To me, Killer Mike without Outkast, we would have never heard of Killer Mike. That would have been a Southwest Atlanta thing. And I never liked LP, so I was just like, 1 + 1 don't equal 2 on this one. So,
and that's crazy because, like, when you said that, I'm like, well, how the fuck did I discover them? Because I ain't fuck with them, you know what I'm saying? Definitely, but like, I tend to like view a lot of tech blogs, and sometimes, you know, they post shit about music. And when I saw that, and I saw Killer Mike's name, and I'm like, what the fuck is this? You know what I'm saying? And when I played it, I was like, wow, they just have something that was just different and refreshing. You know, I'm
gonna have to check that out. You done named 4 joints I got to check out that you done sold me on. You know the other thing with Killer Mike with me, man, and this is the thing with me and hip hop. When I rock with you, I think we best friends. So when him and Big Boy was beefing, I was like, I'm rocking with Big Boy. Fuck Killer Mike. You can't tell me and Big Boy ain't come up in Decatur. So I was like, same reason I never heard Tupac album. You fucking with Biggie? Nah, I don't listen to your music, bro. You know, so I go hard for my artists, man. You know, I make a great label exec, man. I go hard for my artists. You got any other joints though?
I think I had one. Well, nah, because a lot of what y'all named, like the Capone Noriega was gonna be one of mine. Because I was actually one of those dudes who, you know, when they came out, I wasn't in a hurry to hear them. I was like wrapped up in what was going on, so it was a lot of Bad Boy. I was in a lot of clubs. You know what I'm saying? It was whatever was the hot thing. You know what I'm saying? So when you on your album cover with Fatigues, and I've been off that shit, I'm like, I don't want to hear that shit. And you know, the dudes in OC O'Connell, you know, the weed room and shit, niggas is like, yo, this shit crazy. You listen. But once I heard it, you know, everything y'all was saying, it was the same thing where I was like, damn, I never heard of these dudes. This shit is crazy from beginning to end. You know, I was surprised. So yeah, Capone Noriega, first album, War Report, that's another one. That's a classic to me.
No doubt. Jace, you got any other joints?
Yeah, man. Balloon, Mind State, De La Soul. Okay. Big Pun's first joint. My favorite joint on that is Super Lyrical, him and Thought going back and forth, and Busta Rhymes' The Coming, his first joint.
Okay. What about you, Rhett?
All right, so Guilty Simpson, Ode to the Ghetto. That album, man. For one, it took me a minute to get my hands on it, and then when I did, I wasn't let down. You got the Dilla production, the Madlib production, and then just this no-name cat from Detroit that nobody knows who he is, and he calls himself Guilty Simpson. So it's like, okay, I need to listen. The Grind Date, man, I still think it was slept on. I just think people just had already casted their vote on De La and left him alone. And I mean, that was one of the albums that I didn't necessarily expect anything from, because the album before, it was tight, but it didn't push me over the edge. And then when I popped that Grind Day, then I was like, oh, okay, I need to stop what I'm doing. And then Ed O.G.'s first album. That album let me know that there was other cats from other cities that could rhyme that was on the East Coast, because I thought Ed O.G. for the longest time, man. I thought them Roxbury projects was Brooklyn. And then I'm 12, 13 years old, so, you know, I'm not listening to it and maybe the way I should. And then when I start listening to the album and he's talking about, you know, Roxbury and the projects, and I'm like, Roxbury? Like, yo, that's Boston. And after that, I was sold, man. I was happy he let go of the Bulldogs, because I wanted more just Ed O.G. Big Ed O.G. fan, man.
Yeah, I remember this joint. The thing I loved about that album, it was Teddy Ted and Special K produced that joint.
Yeah.
And I used to always hate when people had the Bulldogs stand for something like Brothers United.
Yeah, Brothers United, something letting down. I forget what it stood for.
Yeah, I hated that shit. But the joints I had left, I got Uptown Saturday Night by Cam.
Yes, sir.
On it, that was my thing. And there's probably 3 songs in a row that I don't like. You know what I mean? Like, it totally messed up the album for me. And they come right after each other. If cats remember Super Lover Seeing Casanova Rudd, Girls I Got 'Em Locked, Cats Out of Queens, Alcoholics' first album, 21 and Over.
Yeah.
When I'm Drunk, Last Call, Make Room, Mary Jane.
Yeah.
What other joint I had on here? Some people call it classic. I don't hear enough people, but The Sunrise in the East, J. Roots.
Oh yeah. That's pure classic right there.
I got 2 that I think it's just a Philly thing, because y'all probably never heard of one of these cats. Well, from not robbing a bank, but Steady B's second album called What's My Name was dope. And then 3 Times Dope original style in their first album with Greatest Man Alive.
Greatest Man Alive.
Straight up and from the giddy up. And here's the one that's gonna throw everybody, because nobody has ever agreed with me on this. I don't think Joe Button may agree with me on this. Mood Music 4.
Nope.
Okay. Okay.
Nope.
Can't believe you, man. I had to throw the headphones out of my ear.
Yo, I love Mood Music 4. Y'all serious? Y'all like it at all?
I haven't listened to it. I told you, man. Me and Joe Button, we go back to Focus, and that's it.
I think, again, that series, I was caught up by the time he came out with 4. But the way he's spitting on 2, Mood Music 2, and even 3, even 1. I feel like once he got to 4, it was like, now you getting into album category, like the way it was, the way it was put together. Because earlier it just felt like, all right, Joe Budden was a one-hit wonder. His first album didn't work, so now he's doing this mixtape series and he's just spitting. You know what I'm saying? So that's what attracted me. It's like, yo, he's killing these shits. But then, wasn't that around the time he had his little internet show? And
that was like right before, like movie. Right before. Okay. I'm telling you, all right, y'all done sold me on some shit. I'ma send y'all Mood Music 4.
Please do.
I want you to listen to it with an open mind. Put aside Focus. Put aside Pump Me Up. Put aside all that radio stuff. I think this is Joe at his dopest. I'm with you. I thought Mood Music 1 through 3 was alright. There was joints on there I like, but to me, 4 is where he like to me, talked about a lot of real issues, talked a lot of, the production was good. They got a joint on there called Remember the Titans, which is crazy. It's a posse cut with Joe, Fab, Lloyd Banks, and Royce. And
oh, yeah, I remember that.
And that joint is crazy. So, all right. So everybody took out their earbuds and it was just a note for Joe Budden. All right, cool. All right. Right. Give them all your information. Where can they check out the podcast, the mixes, Twitter, all that good stuff?
So I got the podcast, The Foundation. It's on SoundCloud. You can catch me on SoundCloud at SoundCloud/JRec. I'm on Twitter at DJRec1. And just check me out. Volume 3 is coming real soon. I'm going back to the old school on Volume 3. So should be some fun stuff going on.
All right, no doubt. Jace, give them all your stuff. And I know you spinning next week, right?
Yeah, at the Brixton down on U Street. 7 to 11's throwback party, 80s, 90s. Doing 1 hour with nothing but samples. J Tyler 0801 on IG, at Jerick JERIK TYLER on Twitter.
All right, Vay, give them all the stuff when the podcast drops, all that good stuff.
All right, you can follow me on Twitter, Instagram, all of that at Vegas World INC. The podcast is Hip Hop Now Podcast. It's on SoundCloud.com at SoundCloud.com/Hip Hop Politics. The podcast is available on iTunes, Google Play, Stitcher Radio, wherever. If you got a mobile device or a computer or whatever it may be, you can check it out and subscribe.
All right, no doubt. You already know this with me, Kill889 on Twitter. We'll make beats for food. I'll check y'all next week, man.
Peace, fellas.
Peace.
Peace.